Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township, and those government entities that make laws, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you elected, and the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you attend these meetings or not. And you could be sorry you didn't.
Yes.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah, and if you're careful, you'll see in this program that there's things that bubble to the top, and it's called humor. And every government entity has humor in it. And if you don't believe it, just wait till later if you don't attend those meetings. As
Light
David
humor,
pointed out.
dark humor.
Dark humor. Yeah. Well, let's talk about a couple of meetings, shall we?
Okay, what you got?
Well, this time we're going to talk about the Addison Township board meeting, the trustees.
That's headed up by Bruce Pearson.
Bruce Pearson, yep, does a good job. And then we're going to talk about Oxford Village Planning Commission meeting.
Dear to your heart.
Yeah, and there's a couple things going on there that, rather interesting, as you'll find out. Addison Township, of course, as he pointed out, Bruce Pearson is the supervisor of the township, and he heads up the trustees. And there is the clerk, Bennett. That's Pauline Bennett is on that committee.
Ed Brakefield.
Brakefield, Treasurer Fisher, Lori Fisher, does a good job in Treasury also. But anyway, first thing they did, of course, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Good job out there. And they had their prayer. That's good. I always like to see that in the meetings too. And it's a really down-to-earth little town.
That's right.
Lakeville and, of course, Leonard. They want to talk about elections.
Primary.
The primary election that's going to be coming up. And Joe Schnur made a presentation later, which we'll talk about, because it has something to do with the village or the Oxford Community Television also.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if you've been over to the township offices, whether it's Addison or Oxford, but the clerk's office is really busy with the election.
It is. And what's interesting is that if you folks are inclined to get into local politics, in Addison Township, you need a minimum of 3 signatures to get on the ballot, and no more than 10.
No more than 10?
No more than 10.
I didn't know there was an upper limit.
There is an upper limit.
Or at least maybe that's just how many lines there are in the form.
Well, here's the thing. The township requires a minimum of, actually they say 20, but you should get 25 signatures.
Or more than 20 would be an election.
Right. Probably out there in Addison or Leonard, it probably would be. It would be a landslide. What do you call a landslide? Coming down the hill. Anyway, in the township, now in Oxford Township, they require a minimum of 20, although they're suggesting get 25 in case they have to throw out a few
maybe it's proportionate
signatures
to the population, as they say.
I think that's the way it's designed, yeah.
Okay.
It is. And Leonard better watch it, and Addison, because you continue to grow out there.
That's right.
As soon as people find out where you are and what you have to offer, with the parks and so forth.
You'll need bigger forms.
You need bigger forms and more signatures. But anyway, so you can pick up those forms, of course, at the Township Hall in Addison Township Hall.
This is to apply to
apply to run for office.
And by the way, with the primary, absentee ballots are also available, aren't they?
They are, and a lot of people are going absentee ballots, rather than having to, get up early in the morning and get down to the polls.
Slippery road.
Drive the slippery road. Slippery road over the river and through the bridge. and literally through the bridge if you don't.
And wait in line.
And wait in line. But you have to.
Sometimes you meet people you haven't met in years.
Right. Now, those absentee ballots, of course, they have to be in early, and most people have already applied for them. So if you haven't, you might check with the township and find out what the deadline is for that.
So that's Pauline Bennett in Addison Township.
That's true.
And I think it's Curtis Wright.
Curtis
in
Wright
Oxford Township.
in Oxford Township, right.
And Sue Nasser at the Village of Oxford.
That is correct.
Now, the last one for you is Leonard. Who is it?
Leonard. Go to the clerk's office.
Yes.
Actually, Leonard's part of Addison Township, so.
Right.
You would go to Addison Township, probably.
Would you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't
I
they
believe
just?
you would. Yeah.
The village doesn't hold a separate one?
They would have elections for people in the village.
And by the way, these primaries, aren't at the expense of the taxpayer. The political parties actually have to fork over the money that they spend, so they're compensated.
Oh, how does that work?
Sometimes.
That's the humor we're talking about. Sometimes it works. Okay. Speaking of taxes, you know, one of the things that they brought up in the Addison Township meeting was the truth in taxation hearing. They have to have that, you know, every year, so that people know where your tax money is going. And I found it interesting that
That's where they come in and say, it's not fair to tax me like this. And they said, well, that's true. No.
well, actually, yeah, there's not a whole lot of taxes being pulled of Addison Township from you folks. It's only 7.52
Mills?
mills
Per thousand.
per thousand.
Per thousand devaluation on your house.
That's true, and that breaks down to 1.0675 for the township, and for the police force it breaks down to 3.7858, and for the fire department it's 2.98, and that all comes out to 7.52 when you figured it. So taxes aren't too high, and by the way, they have not increased taxes in Addison Township, you know, for a number of years. So you're pretty safe out there so far. But watch out when they
Unless
say
the value of your house goes up.
yeah, then you're not so safe, right? And the best thing to do is build that house on quicksand, because then they don't know how much home you have. Keeps going lower and lower. Anyway, they did have a thing that came up, and they said we're going to have a budget hearing, and in which the board listens to people that have concerns, you know, for the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, is there anybody that's interested in coming forward, you know, on this? And
Pray tell, who
nobody
wasn't?
there. Nobody wanted to say anything. So they went further, and they said, well, they'll discuss further the approval of the budget in the March meeting. They have a preliminary budget established, and they've had public hearing on it. So that you folks will want to catch that March meeting that they're going to have.
Is the March meeting the public meeting?
That'll be a public meeting.
No, I
yes.
mean, but you said a public hearing.
Well, they had a public hearing
Already?
already.
Okay.
Yep. And so it's just doing the preliminary up to the actual decision on the part of the trustees, which again, we say is going to be at the March meeting. So stay in tune with that one, folks. Ordinances. Did you know that there's a super drug?
Super drunk?
Drunk. No, not drug. Drunk.
Drunk.
Yeah, super drunk charge. It's an ordinance. And if
That's
you,
well above the minimum
it is.
or the maximum or whatever it is.
Well, the other, just to be drunk and be ticketed for being drunk, you got to blow a 0.08 percentage. you
Yeah,
know.
but to be super drunk?
You got to be a 0.17. And if you become a super drunk,
If you could work it up to blow into the thing. And if you can't, then you're really drunk.
that's the problem. What they do is they stick the thing in their mouth, and then while you got it in your mouth, the police officer jumps all force right on your chest to get the breathalyzer to work.
Either that or he blows into it and he passes out and you go, well, I don't
But
know.
there's more to it. Actually, being a super drunk really helps the township, and I'll tell you how that happens when we come back right after this, folks.
Hi, my name's Karen from Canine Stray Rescue. We're located at 2120 Metamora Road, just north of town in Oxford. We're an animal rescue here. We take in dogs. We have about 50 dogs here right now that are available for adoption. Before the dogs are adopted out, they are spayed or neutered. They're up to date on the rabies and distemper shots, and we also heartworm test them to make sure that they are not heartworm positive. We have families come through here. We're open every day, but Tuesday and Wednesday. We also have a website that lists our hours, tells you everything about our events. We go to Petco at Great Lakes Crossing on the first and third Saturdays of every month. And we also go to Pet Stuff Harvest Time on the second and fourth Saturdays of each month. If you'd like to visit us there, we take about 8 to 10 dogs, but the rest of the dogs are always at the kennel for you to come and visit. We always need volunteers. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. If you would ever like to come and volunteer with us, we have volunteer meetings. We tell you a little bit about us, and then you can come and volunteer with us. We would love to have you come and adopt one of our dogs. They're all listed online, or you can come and visit them. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. Did you know that Charter Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99 are the only television stations you can find all the events and news just for you?
Oxford News This Week is your news closer to home. Catch us right here weekdays at noon, 6:30, and 11 p.m. and weekends at noon and 11 p.m.
See you there. Ta-da!
We're done.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we have been talking about super drunks.
Super drunk.
Yes, and you got to blow
Sounds
up.
like one of these Marvel heroes.
Yeah, but there's money involved here, and that is if you become a super drunk and you're ticketed, you get to pay for all the expenses. For example, police officers' time if they have to transport you to the hospital, you know, for additional testing, transportation to the Oakland County Jail, all those kind of things. You get to pay for if you're a super drunk. Are you happy? I try not to be a super drunk. And that happens also in Oxford Township. So you can be in that category as well. So, you know, keep the drinking down, especially when you're ready to blow into that little machine, because
So
if you blow a 1.17, you're in trouble.
So you got a DUI and then an SDUI.
Yes, you have. You have one of those, yes. And when you get out of the hospital or the jail, then you'll be able to understand this whole thing. But
But you
so-
won't at the time.
No. So that is an ordinance that they have in Addison Township as well as Oxford
That's a good
Township
thing.
as well. It is, yeah. OCTV made a presentation, and they're concerned, or we're concerned about the amount of franchise fees, the amount of the money that is being appropriated back to the station. You know, can you
Right.
explain that a little bit?
Well, each municipality gets a certain amount based on the number of subscribers to either Charter or AT&T, and that amount is given to the municipality. The municipality, in turn, has the ability to give it all to support the community television station, or retain a part of it, or all of it for that matter.
Right. So all your community programming that you see on OCTV is coming through the franchise fees.
Absolutely.
In return.
Oxford Township, for instance, gives 100% back.
Yeah, and that's a concern that the station manager had when he gave his presentation before the Addison Township trustees, is that Addison pays 50%
Right.
of the fee, and they use the other 50% for what?
Well, once it hits that general fund, who knows?
Yeah. Can you say quicksand? There it goes.
It loses its identity tag once it hits the pool.
Right. Well, I hear they want to use it for salt on roads. Bromine.
Salt?
Yeah, keep the dust down. So you folks out there that are on side roads that want to keep the dust down, apparently this is going to eliminate your expense, you know, for the summer.
Just don't expect television coverage of the event.
Well, I'm not at all sure if Charter goes out to the
what?
gravel roads or the dusty roads. Or,
Charter?
Yeah, the communications.
I
Hookup.
don't know. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
probably based
I'd be
on
curious to
population
find out.
density.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, every time they try to run out there, the bears chew up the cable. So I don't
Yikes.
know.
Although Charter used to be analog out in that area, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's all being converted over to digital, much sharper, much better signal.
Yeah, and we've really pushed hard, you know, for them to upgrade.
Absolutely.
And actually, Terry Stiles, who works at the station here, is one of the executive producers.
Right.
She has been in contact with Brad
Jacobson.
yeah, the representative, House of Representatives, to try to improve the signal and provide additional services over there in Addison Township. So through her,
And I think secretly in the back, there's been a kick in the butt.
yep, and little Terry's back there, you know, pounding.
You betcha.
To help you folks out there in Addison Township get better reception. The interesting thing too is that, as Bill pointed out, that the signal that we provide is only local.
Absolutely.
We don't provide any.
We provide a tremendous amount of local programming for all of the municipalities that we serve, Oxford Township, Addison Township, Leonard, and the Village of Oxford, 24/7. We never are off the air.
I know they cover the schools over there, the kids that are in their activities, the parades, and all those kind of things you know,
Yep.
that they
Sports.
have. Sports programs. Yep.
Leonard, the Strawberry Festival, the Lone Ranger Festival in Oxford.
Right.
We do some great interview programs here with John Ochins, with My Life, and also with Schooling Around.
Yeah.
A lot-
Well, we did actually 73.
And our Sterling program.
Yeah, Sterling. And we did 73 events actually in just Addison Township alone.
Wow.
So that's quite a few.
That might
So-
not be proportionate to what they give us.
Yeah. So if you folks are enjoying the programming that we have here, you know, do talk to the powers to be at the township and voice your opinion. Now, there were a couple of opinions offered on this at the end of it, and one was let me see, Joe Schnurr
Yeah.
spoke, and also the fire chief, Chief Dominowski
Okay.
spoke. And on behalf of the station and how much they enjoy the station and their families do. Joe Schnurr, just raving about, what we do, in the community. So I think he had some very strong people in the
This
community
station is a
that
very
spoke up.
positive asset to all those communities.
So keep us in mind, folks, especially in the budget time. Okay, so they did cover that, and they told Bill, sit down. That was it. So that was it.
The hook came out.
And that's what came out. Anyway, they're going to actually approve this budget back in March, so you folks be at the meeting in March. As I said, the roads that they did discuss that in gravel too, and they're going to put bids out, for the gravel to take care of at least 3 miles of road that they know of. And part of the funding that Bruce Pearson is saying he wants to use the OCTV franchise fees for is for chlorine, for the back roads. So anyway,
Which
we'll
they
see how
couldn't
that
get
works
from any
out.
other source.
Not from any others. It doesn't rain chlorine, I know that.
No, I mean,
unless you're in Flint.
terms of funding.
Yeah. In terms of funding, right. Yeah. Okay. So, Chief Dominowski gave a presentation about the police department, or fire department. He does a great job in terms of his budget information. I mean, everything is detailed. He's saying that in the future they're going to spend roughly $10,000 on new pagers they're going to need for his people.
They
You
still
got to
use
communicate. Yeah, you got to communicate. And that's the way they do it.
Oh.
So, out there. Well, they just gave up smoke signals about 3 months ago.
Oh,
so,
well.
The bearers kept complaining that smoke was getting in their eyes.
They burned
Can't
up
do
all the
that.
blankets.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. So anyway, so they said we're going to need also kitchen appliances, for the stations.
Gotta eat.
You got to eat, and I don't think they use it to keep themselves warm. They got pretty good furnace there.
Okay.
So, both stations. So they just.
Well, they
I
are
think
firemen.
just did one. Yeah, they are firemen. They know how to. Well, they know how to put out fires. I don't know if they know how to start them. But I assume they do. But so they said we're also going to have to put in 2 fire hydrants out in our area.
That's a sign of growth.
It is progress because out there in Addison Township, they pretty much pump from the lakes out there.
Okay.
There's several lakes. So, and that's where they get their water source, or through pumpers, through the great big massive trucks that they have there, which they just got a new one. So.
Thank God they got a lot of lakes.
They have a lot of lakes, yeah. Station 2, they said that there's some maintenance requirements at Station 2, and he said that there'll be a little expense involved there. And they're putting away money in the little old jar buried in the backyard for future equipment that they may need, major equipment.
Well, you
So
gotta
it's a
have
good
a-
idea.
You have to have a little rainy day fund.
Rainy day, yep. It doesn't rain out, well, it rains once in a while. But
Well.
so anyway, parks, no problem, that's all covered. Parks and Rec, they do a great job out there, as we pointed out before. Fire cost recovery, if they go on a fire run, they have been able to recoup some of the funding required, for the labor and, the equipment use.
From who?
From the individual that their house is burning down. Say, hey, sign here and then we'll take care of
But
that.
isn't that what the individual paid taxes for?
Yeah, that's part of it. But there's also recoup, if you have to take somebody to an ambulance and an ambulance to the hospital, that kind of thing, and there's certain things that aren't covered.
Oh,
you know.
sure.
So,
EMTs.
yep, those would be fees that they would have to pick up. So, with that, we'll be back in just a moment, right after this.
Watch one of the longest running programs on OCTV, Our Community Access, every day at 9:30 and 5:30. Hosted and produced by Bill Service. Our Community Access, keeping it local.
All today on Our Community Access.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we've been talking about Addison Township, and I've just got a few more items to talk about. And we haven't talked about Addison Township for quite a while.
No, but you're really on a stem winder here.
I am, stem winder, yep. So they said also that they want to sell the old command truck. And the old command truck they're going to put on eBay. You folks need a fairly decent looking truck, and it only has 60-some thousand, 68,000 I think on it, on the speedometer.
Yeah. They really maintain those things well, don't they?
They do. $15,000 is what they're asking for
How many miles?
It's got 68,000 miles on it.
Not bad.
Not bad.
What is it again?
It's
pickup or
it's a
what?
pickup.
Okay.
Yep. It's their command truck, and they've
Okay.
taken good, as you point out, good care of it. Let me see. Janitor. They're going to need a new janitor over there, as Bruce brought up, and he said, "Well, give me permission to hunt for somebody because our janitor that we have now says she's going to be leaving for another job, for a different type of career she's going to go into." And then Clerk Bennett said, "Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, we actually have a contract. I believe it's a 30-day contract with an existing company for cleaning until we find who we want to do this. So we're not really hanging in the dust here. Dust. Hanging
But
in
it's
the
kind of
dust.
like a temp. If they work out really well, they might hire them.
It is. They might. But anyway, so he said, well, there's one other issue, and that is generator maintenance, the generator for the building that they have. I bet you didn't know that they had a generator.
Is it
for
a
this
new one
building.
now,
It's a
or-
brand new one.
Okay.
And they said that they need to have a maintenance contract, and the maintenance contract is a 5-year agreement with the company, and the total is $2,108
For 5 years?
for 5 years. That's $500 a year. That's not too
I
bad.
guess. That covers everything?
It does. Yep. So that's it with Addison Township. Now let's talk about the Oxford Village Planning Commission.
Uh-huh. You
Okay.
used to be on that.
Used to be on that one. Yep. Used to be on the Village Council as well. But
What happened there?
I kept moving around. I don't know. It's hard to catch a moving target, as you well know out there, folks. That's part of the humor in the village. But anyway, Oxford Village Planning Commission. John Duvall is the chairman. Does a
Good guy.
great job. I've known John for a number of years and very articulate. Agenda. They approved the agenda right away. They covered the minutes. No problem there. Motion went through. Correspondence. There were no files for correspondence, so they skipped right on by that. If you want to say a word in between, you better speak quickly, because I'm going to go through this. Okay.
I find it hard to get a word in edgewise anyhow.
All right. Edgewise, that's why you're on the edge. Old business, 98 Glassby, Chuck Snyder. Oh, the old thing, what they going
Is
to
that
do
where
with
he's
that
gonna build his
building?
condo?
That's where he's going to build all
That's
these
where
condos.
he was going to build his
Right.
condo.
And yeah, 76 units is what he hoped to do, and you folks have been hearing
Well,
about
it
this
was-
on our news, I'm sure.
The actually 2 groups, the smaller of which is 24, I believe.
Yeah, but the whole thing consists of 76 units,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually 35 units over the limit as far as
Who
the
determined-
ordinance.
who de-
Ordinance
oh,
does.
there's actually an ordinance
Oh, yeah.
that says,
Yeah, specifications, for building,
okay.
on a certain size lot. This is only a 3.75 acre lot, fairly small. So, like Snyder says, well, stack them up. No, can't do that.
But he doesn't actually own the building yet, does he?
No, actually, he set a contract. He's been negotiating the contract, and he hasn't really put any money on it yet at this point. He's done a lot of architectural plans and everything, and site plan information. So he's actually made an investment, at this point.
But not a major one yet.
But he hasn't made the investment saying that, yes, I'm going to purchase this property. By the way, the selling price is $225,000.
I think the buying price for the village was 700 and something odd thousand, wasn't it?
2009, I think it was. Yeah. And by the
Buy
way,
high, sell low.
by the way, I was very much against that.
Buying
Yeah,
it?
buy high, sell low. I was against that. But anyway, yeah, they need to probably sit on it, excuse me, a little bit longer, see if the evaluation or the value goes up. But anyway, it doesn't look to me as though Mr. Snyder is going to get his wish here, because they actually disapproved this to the village council. He's going under a PUD alternative, which is negotiable between the
Planned
village.
unit development?
Got it. You're getting really good at this. My gosh.
Yeah, I learn a couple of things every now and then.
You do. But anyway, under that program, you can negotiate with the village, who happens to own the property, as a developer, contractor. And it's give and take, Well, they feel that there's too much give and not enough take. in this case.
So they took the ball and went home.
Well, they pretty much did that. They, Helmuth was the only one that voted to approve it. All the others turned it down to go to the village council. So the way it stands right now, they're saying that the lease agreement that they're trying to work and sign out never did come about, that Snyder never did sign it. So that was information or a document which is not prevalent or necessary in this whole transaction. It's pretty much thrown out. And the master plan is the guide for this, and because of the size of the property and because of the number of units they want to put in there, it just doesn't fit the master plan.
Was the planner in favor or not in favor of this one?
The planner said with some conditions it could be approved, but
Okay.
those conditions weren't acceptable to the planning commission. So that being said, now it's going to go before the village council. And the village council, who knows what's going to happen there, but usually if the planning commission makes a recommendation, the council will pretty much go along with it, because there's been a
That's
lot
why
of
they
preliminary.
appointed them.
Yeah, there's been a lot of preliminary work done, along with the consultant, you know, the planner for the village, in order to either say yay or nay on this thing. So anyway, so it's going to go before the village council.
So basically, not only has Mr. Snyder expended money in evaluating all this, but the village has also.
Village has not really spent a whole lot, other than the attorney's fees that you know, our attorney that's been involved in this thing right along, and also some consulting fees.
Is the planner on retainer?
The planner is on retainer up to a certain number of hours,
Okay.
and then which time he charges additional, and he
Right.
has a rate for that, which is pretty standard and common. And this planner has been with the village now, I think, for at least 8-10 years.
Is that McKenna?
That's McKenna.
Okay.
What I found interesting too, at one time, McKenna used to also be the planner for Leonard.
Oh,
I don't know if you're aware of that.
no.
Okay. But they have a new planner in Leonard now. That's a whole different subject. When
You're
we
just
get to
a
Leonard,
bundle
we'll
of-
talk about that.
You're just a bundle of facts.
Yeah, I get a lot of that from you when you're sleeping. You don't know that you're talking in your sleep, do you? Okay.
Call it educational television.
Yeah. So anyway, one person stood up on this thing at the planning commission. They said, "Why would you want to sell this thing when you paid $700,000 for it and you're going to sell it for $225,000? It doesn't make sense." So anyway, so several of the people agreed with this.
Well, maybe they were trying to
Didn't
make
make
the best
sense.
of a bad decision.
Well, here's the thing: it was evaluated, and the evaluation came at $325,000,
Well,
not $700,000.
the real evaluation
$325,000.
of any property is what someone's willing to give you for it.
That's true. And there's what does
Doesn't make any difference what a tax assessor says.
that could be. We'll spread that rumor anyway. But in the meantime, what's coming up?
Well, we do have some meetings coming up, folks. On February 16th at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission. And on 2/17 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Polly Ann Trail Management Council will be meeting at the Oxford Township offices. And on the next day, 2/18, the North Oakland Transportation Authority will be meeting at 4:30 in the afternoon at the Addison Township offices. And on 2/22 at 4 o'clock, our parent organization
Yeah.
will be meeting. The Oxford Area Cable Communications Commission will be meeting at the Oxford Township offices. We're just nomads. We're meeting everywhere.
Now the village council meeting you had on there is what, March 8th?
No, I don't have a council meeting.
Oh, you don't? Okay, that'll be coming up. But do
Don't
know
go
that
that far
this
in advance.
decision on 98 Glaspie Street has been postponed at the latest meeting that they had with the village council, which they had yesterday
Okay.
or last night. And they postponed that until the meeting in March, and it's going to be March 8th
Okay.
at 6:30. Be there.
This
if
is
you're
for which
interested.
meeting again?
This is for the 98 Glaspie Street approval or disapproval,
okay,
based
okay.
on the input that the planning commission has provided.
And
So-
also, the budget meeting for Addison Township will be next month also. So
Yes, that's true. So
That's
both are very,
important, too.
very interesting and very important issues that you folks out there want to get involved in. In the meantime, I'm Elgin Nichols,
And I'm Dave Kenny.
and we'll join you right here next time on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.